Hey, fact finders! Welcome to Facts Reviews, where history's wildest secrets get exposed. Like that time Teddy Roosevelt wrestled a bear? Totally made up. Or how about the pyramids being built by aliens? Fake news, my friends. History is full of these crazy myths and half-truths. And honestly, it's kind of insulting. But don't worry, I'm here to set the record straight. Today, we're spilling 10 secrets your history teacher never told you, and trust me, some of this stuff is so wild, so unbelievable, that you'll be questioning everything you thought you knew. Smash that like button and let's jump in. Alright, history buffs, buckle up for secret number 10. Cleopatra, the last pharaoh of ancient Egypt, lived closer to the moon landing than she did to the construction of the Great Pyramids. Now, I know what you're thinking. Wait, what? Yeah, this one usually breaks a few brains, but stay with me, we tend to lump everything ancient together, right? Like it was all one big toga party with chariots and hieroglyphics. Cleopatra ruled Egypt from 69 to 30 BCE, which puts her about 2,000 years ago. The Giza pyramids, on the other hand, those bad boys were built around 2500 BCE. That's a difference of roughly 2,500 years. Cleopatra lived closer to the year 2023, the year of self-driving cars and personalized memes, than she did to the time when those massive stone blocks were being hauled across the desert. Cleopatra, who hung out with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, was closer to witnessing Neil Armstrong's giant leap for mankind than she was to seeing the pyramids being built. It really makes you realize just how much history there is, and how much we tend to compress it in our minds. Imagine that. Cleopatra scrolling through Instagram, posting stories about her day with the caption, "Just another day ruling Egypt, you know how it is. #Queen Life, #Ancient World Problems." Let's move on to secret number 9, and get ready to ditch some serious stereotypes, because we're talking about Vikings. Forget those images of hairy barbarians in horned helmets, pillaging and burning their way through history. Turns out, the Vikings were way more complex than that. First of all, let's address the elephant, or rather, the horned helmet in the room. Those iconic helmets, a complete fabrication, popularized by 19th century opera costumes. Vikings didn't actually wear horned helmets. In fact, the only Viking helmet ever found was a simple, rounded one with no horns in sight. Now let's talk hygiene, because believe it or not, Vikings were kind of obsessed with it. Archaeological digs have unearthed tweezers, ear cleaners, and combs at Viking sites, suggesting that these were people who cared about their appearance. And get this, they even had a designated bathing day, Saturday, which they called Laugardagr, meaning washing day. They even enjoyed saunas, using heated stones to create steam baths. Vikings were not just fierce warriors but also skilled traders and explorers. They established trade routes across Europe and Asia, exchanging goods like silk, spices, and even, wait for it, soap. So next time you think of Vikings, forget the Hollywood cliches. Remember them as skilled navigators, traders, and hygiene enthusiasts who just happened to have a knack for raiding and conquering. Ready for secret number 8? This one's a real head-scratcher. You've probably heard that the Great Wall of China is the only human-made structure visible from space. Well, prepare to have your mind blown, because that's completely false. It's one of those facts that gets repeated so often it becomes ingrained as truth. But the truth is, the Great Wall is notoriously difficult to see from space, even for astronauts with trained eyes. Why? It's all about materials and width. The Great Wall is made mostly of stone and earth, which blends surprisingly well with the surrounding landscape, especially from a distance. And while it stretches for thousands of miles, it's actually quite narrow, averaging only about 20 feet wide. To put that in perspective, imagine trying to spot a strand of spaghetti on a football field from, say, the top of a skyscraper. Astronauts have even reported that highways and city lights are far more visible from orbit than the Great Wall. The Great Wall remains an incredible feat of engineering and human perseverance, but its visibility from space? Let's just call it a cosmic misconception. Hold on to your hats, folks, because secret number 7 is straight out of a Cold War thriller. During the 1950s, at the height of Cold War tensions, the United States seriously considered a plan to, wait for it, nuke the moon. This top-secret project, codenamed Project A-119, was more than just a crazy idea thrown around after too many cups of coffee. The plan involved detonating a nuclear weapon on the lunar surface, partly as a show of force to intimidate the Soviet Union, and partly, believe it or not, for scientific research. The scientists involved argued that the explosion would allow them to study the moon's composition and maybe even answer some lingering questions about its geology. Thankfully, cooler heads prevailed. The project was ultimately scrapped due to concerns about the potential for radioactive fallout, as well as the potential for a PR nightmare. Imagine trying to explain to the world why you just blew up a giant chunk of the moon. Next time you look up at the night sky, just be thankful that the moon isn't glowing in the dark. Let's lighten the mood a bit with secret number 6, and delve into the world of literature's most famous playwright, William Shakespeare. We all know him as the genius behind Hamlet, Romeo and Juliet, and countless other masterpieces. But what they don't always tell you in English class is that Shakespeare might have been a fan of a certain herbal refreshment. That's right, evidence suggests that the bard might have indulged in a bit of cannabis. In 2001, archaeologists discovered clay pipes in Shakespeare's garden, and guess what they found traces of in those pipes? Yep, cannabis. Did Shakespeare find inspiration for his magical worlds and complex characters while under the influence? We may never know for sure, but it certainly adds a whole new layer to the phrase "the play's the thing." Get ready for some chills, folks, because secret number 5 is downright eerie. We all know the tragic story of the Titanic, the unsinkable ship that met its doom in the icy waters of the North Atlantic. But what you might not know is that the disaster was eerily foreshadowed in a novel published 14 years earlier. In 1898, author Morgan Robertson published a novel titled Futility, about a luxury liner called the Titan, which, like its real-life counterpart, was touted as unsinkable. The Titan, carrying an insufficient number of lifeboats, strikes an iceberg in the North Atlantic in April and sinks, resulting in a massive loss of life. The similarities between the fictional sinking of the Titan and the real-life tragedy of the Titanic are chilling, to say the least. Some people dismissed it as a spooky coincidence, but others saw it as a chilling prophecy. Whether a case of life imitating art or a strange premonition, the connection between futility and the Titanic remains one of history's most unsettling coincidences. Alright, time to shatter some more romanticized images with secret number 4, and this time we're talking pirates. Forget the Hollywood portrayals of swashbuckling rogues with hearts of gold. The reality of pirate life was far less glamorous and far more, well, disgusting. For starters, hygiene was not exactly a top priority on the high seas. Pirates went months, sometimes years, without bathing, and their clothes were often caked with dirt, grime, and who knows what else. They lived in cramped, filthy quarters below deck, surrounded by rats, cockroaches, and the stench of unwashed bodies. Medical care on a pirate ship was just as brutal as you might imagine. Broken bones were often set with splints made from whatever they could find, and amputations were common, often performed without anesthesia. Let's wrap things up with secret number 3, and it's a doozy, especially for all you students out there. You've probably heard the story. Albert Einstein, the brilliant mind who revolutionized our understanding of the universe, was a terrible student who actually failed math. It's a comforting story, isn't it? If even Einstein struggled in school, then maybe our own academic struggles aren't so bad after all. Well, prepare to have your hopes dashed, because this story, my friends, is a myth. While Einstein did struggle with certain subjects, French for example, he excelled in math and physics from a young age. He taught himself algebra and geometry, and even mastered calculus before he was a teenager. Einstein's brilliance was not due to some miraculous overcoming of academic failure, but rather to his innate curiosity, his passion for learning, and yes, his exceptional aptitude for math and science. And there you have it, fact finders. 10 shocking history secrets that they probably didn't teach you in school. From Cleopatra's surprising place in the timeline to the moon's near-death experience, we've journeyed through history's weirdest and wildest corners. Remember, history isn't just about memorizing dates and names. It's about uncovering the unbelievable, questioning everything, and realizing that sometimes truth is stranger than fiction. If your brain's still intact, drop a like and comment. Which secret shocked you most? Was it the Vikings' obsession with cleanliness, Shakespeare's potential herbal inspiration, or maybe America's plan to nuke the moon? Let me know in the comments below, and let's keep the conversation going. And hey, while you're at it, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on next week's episode, where we'll be diving into even more of history's most fascinating and unbelievable stories. Stay curious, my friends, and never stop questioning the official narrative.